am Jen Phoenix, and I am currently the practice director for our agribusiness vertical on the BC Enterprise team. So we work with Microsoft Dynamics Business Central with a layer on top that supports those folks who are in what we call our agribusiness vertical, which is cannabis, horticulture primarily. I've been working here at Velasio, so I kind of moved into this role at Velasio. I came here through an acquisition, which, quite on topic, the company that I worked for before was a woman-owned company, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. I really fell into technology. I actually formerly was in accounting, but I really developed a love for the system that I was working with, which was NAB, the predecessor to Business Central. And I just really took to it. And my old boss, a mentor I will also talk about, she used to jokingly call me a hacker. And I'm like, Pat, that's not what hacking is, but sure. And I just really enjoyed working with it. And the more I got to help people with it, the more fun I had in my job. And I was enjoying that a lot more than the accounting work that I was doing. And so when I had an opportunity to move into consulting somewhere around 2012, I did it, and I've been in this industry ever since. Recognizing the gender disparity in tech, we don't see a lot of women in this industry, and really in a lot of industries, right? But I think we even see it more in tech. I was really fortunate early in my career to meet and work for a woman who, with no exaggeration whatsoever, completely changed my life. And she was somebody who believed in me, helped me feel much more confident in what I was bringing to the table. I jokingly said earlier, she referred to me as a hacker, but she really boosted my confidence with the aptitude that I was showing for technology. And she encouraged it, and she found ways for me to leverage that in the work that I was doing, even though that wasn't necessarily my field at the time. Then when I changed careers, I did work for a male boss for a little while, and then I was acquired by we were acquired, not just me, by another firm that was owned by a woman. And then I got to see kind of a different aspect of what a woman in technology could be. And she, hearing her story about how she started her company, and she, how she really built it from the ground up, and by taking initiative and not being afraid to say, hey, this is what's actually needed to do this job better and faster. We don't need to do things with manual reports. We can build software to do it for us. It's just a really inspiring tale. And I think the more people that we have who, whether it's literally with what we're doing with technology in our careers, or just influencing how we approach our careers and what we're doing, these are both really important components of helping, I think, to encourage more women to get into the careers that they want to get into, succeed in those careers, but obviously then especially in technology. As it relates to qualities that a mentor should possess, some of these I saw in the women that mentored me, and some of them I've recognized as I get older, as I'm in this career longer, that I think are really important just for mentors in general, but especially in technology. I'm going to kind of list some core traits, I suppose. I think honesty, trustworthiness, compassion, attentiveness, being a good listener, understanding patience, right? If you're going to work with somebody and mentor somebody, whether you choose to or not, these women didn't say, oh, hey, I'm going to mentor Jen. It just evolved that way. And I looked to them because of the traits that they possessed. The fact that they were strong advocates. I think this is really a cornerstone, being an advocate for the women that you're working with, that you're supporting, that you are trying to mentor or just encourage to grow in their careers, is a huge component. I also think it's really important to know when, a lot of times we think of mentors as those people who share their wisdom or their experience or give us advice. And I think it's important to understand a couple of things. One, when to give advice and when to be more of a coach and encourage those women that we have up and coming in this industry to trust themselves, to let themselves be the experts, and we're just there to listen and guide and encourage and support and again advocate for, but not necessarily trying to project our own experience, our own desires, what we would want for ourselves onto them. So learning to find that balance, I think, is going to be really key to somebody being a successful mentor, if that's something that they're either interested in doing or if somebody's coming to them. There are so many challenges that women face in technology and, like I said, still in kind of the general workplace. We obviously know that the pay gap is an ongoing discussion. I think as mentors and leaders, we need to be sure that our female team members are receiving equitable pay. And we need to be willing to go to the mat for them on this. We need to be willing to fight these battles if it needs to be one. We also need to encourage those that we mentor and support to advocate for themselves, not to look to us to help them find that way forward, but to find the strength and confidence to recognize their own value and be willing to stand up for that and advocate for that for themselves. I think, now this is where I get into a little bit of perception and opinion. I think there's often an inherent doubt that's kind of projected onto women that they have the same ability to do the job as well as their male counterparts. And that might be subtly, it might be even an unconscious bias that's happening. But I think there's more of an inherent assumption that man is going to be capable of doing that job. And I think to counteract that, a lot of times women in technology, in the workforce, feel that they need to prove themselves. They work harder, they work longer. There's that, oh, I got to prove that I can do it. I got to prove that I can do it, rather than just trusting that they are inherently capable of doing that. So the more that we can encourage that and support confidence building and trust in themselves so they don't feel that need to prove themselves is something that I think could help overcome it to some degree, so that we at least are coming to the table recognizing our own value and our own worth. Another area, I told you I had a few of these. I think women self-select themselves out of opportunities. There are multiple studies out there that show that women won't apply for jobs unless they are 100% or near to it, have the skills and experience that is being asked for in a job description, whereas a male counterpart is much more likely to apply for that job if they meet only some of the criteria. And then there's, again, I think this is that we have to prove ourselves sort of thing that's happening. And I think if we can get women to recognize that, hey, going for that job that you want, you don't need to have 100% of the criteria. You just have to show that you have the skills, that you have, the resourcefulness, and you have to feel confident going in there that you are just as worthy of getting that job as anyone else. And also learning to recognize that a no isn't a failure. It's just an opportunity to learn and grow. And working on those mindset shifts and not feeling like it's a personal rejection, but just another opportunity. So I think there are lots of kind of specific opportunities, but then just from a more holistic standpoint, I think the best mentors will support, encourage, and advocate for these young women who are trying to get into technology. And we need to not be afraid of a little bit of competition. I kind of think of it as being a parent. I want my kids to be happy and successful, and I want them to be more happy. I want them to be happier and more successful than me. We want to guide these young women to not only succeed, but to surpass us and propel us right into the future. if I kind of look at my own history, there's one particular woman, and again, it wasn't technology. It was in my prior life when I was kind of up and coming through accounting. But I met her. She instantly took me under her wing, and I did not have any of the on paper criteria that typically employers would look for in order to give you an opportunity. But she talked to me, she understood, she recognized my skills, my aptitude, my work ethic, and just kind of my desire to do the best that I could with what I was doing. And she gave me those opportunities. She promoted me, she advocated, and really impacted how I felt about my ability to do things in the workplace that maybe were beyond what I thought I would have to do, or get me past some of the barriers where I might have self-selected myself out of opportunities. Now, what's interesting is she was, a generation ahead of me. She still is. She's still with us. And I also, though, got to witness a lot of the challenges that she experienced. I watched how she was treated in certain situations. And there was a time where she was the only woman on, in the higher levels of the organization. And then I kind of came up with her. But recognizing how she had to navigate that, what she experienced. And I saw things that I thought did really admirably. And there were things I thought, you know what, if I was in that situation, I would want to do this differently. I would want to fight, harder for myself. And so it wasn't that she was perfect in everything that she did, but she really, by allowing me to be close to her and work with her and learn from her, also helped me learn for myself what was going to be best for me. And I think that makes a great mentor. It doesn't have to be perfect. They just have to be human and allow us to see and learn and grow.